You can find them on Twitter, you can find them on the gram. After listening to their podcast, you'll be sitting there like, damn, taking their teaching from one level to the next, reaching up to Canada and down
through the
to
education that they're getting today.
Mexico.
Wow, that's awesome. I love the global perspective you both bring to everything, which is really cool. So can you? It doesn't matter to me like who talks about, but or maybe both of you. Tell us a little bit about the concept of the book, Worldwide Learning.
Yeah, so worldwide learning really comes from a place of wanting to transform schools, as you mentioned, into those humanizing spaces where students really feel like the education that they're getting has relevance and purpose for what they see in the world around them. So making sure that you don't have this kind of decontextualized, abstracted experience in the classroom, which is often characterized by a kind of purely disciplinary approach, separated from kind of real world issues or events that they're experiencing around themselves in their communities or, farther afield. And so the whole idea is that we could be using real world issues from local, global, or intercultural contexts in our classrooms as curricular organizers, and then using an interdisciplinary approach to support students in creating that kind of coherence and connectedness in their learning and being able to do something with it. So it's not, oh, you're learning about multiplication, division to be doing something, potentially in 10 years or on a standardized test at the end of the year. It's like, no, we're going to do a project. You're actually be working with individuals in your community. There's a relevance to this learning that you're going to be needing it tomorrow, next week, in a month. And the expectation is really that students become active participants in the classroom that are helping to co-design the learning journey, and that teachers start viewing themselves as kind of flexible navigators through, the journey with those students.
Wow. Okay. Elizabeth,
like active participants in the learning journey, and not just kind of sitting there taking the information in.
Yeah. I mean, that I think is so, because then it feels real to the student. But like you said, it's not that abstract thing that's going on.
I was actually thinking about it the other day, because in every other area that we encounter, goods or services, there's always some kind of iterative process where the end user or the person who's purchasing something gives input into the design of whatever system or structure or process or product they're using. And in education, students don't often have the ability to do that. They're kind of told, well, we've done it for you. We've decided on the standards. We've decided on the units. We've decided on what this lesson looks like. And your job is just to be kind of present and take in all this stuff. But it's quite interesting that in a space where it's supporting the self-actualization of our learners, that is one of the only places where we don't actually ask them, so what do you think this should look like?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know, Elizabeth, did you have anything you wanted to add? Or?
Yeah, I'll just mention briefly that I teach courses in global education here at the university. And in doing that in the last 14 years, I noticed there are a lot of misconceptions about what that means. And so Carla and I were really intentional about even the title of the book, Worldwide Learning, because of those misconceptions that global is something happening far away and that we're disconnected from other people and places in our local community. And that couldn't be further from the truth. We're connected in so many ways through, look at us right now, technology, through, like Carla mentioned, the goods that we buy, the economic system, ecologically, we see the effects of climate change. We wrote about this in our book. When a massive fire happens in one place, the air pollution can travel literally around the world, affecting all people. So that idea of interconnectedness is really essential to global learning.
And Joe and I think, was it last year, Joe, became Teach SDGs ambassadors. And I think that is such a great entry point for any of what you're talking about. And I've seen it myself, like you just throw out the 17 SDGs out there and you let the kids take a look at it, and there's going to be an SDG that kid is passionate about. You know,
And hits home, like Elizabeth, right. You were saying they're called the global goals, but you know they can make changes right there in their home, in their school, in their community, and that's where Ron talks about throwing a rock in a pond and seeing that
Thanks
ripple
for listening
effect.
to the Teacher Nerds podcast. Yeah. Keep up with every new episode by subscribing on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, Anchor, or anywhere you listen. Remember to visit teachernerds.com, and that's nerds with a Z. Follow us on Twitter @TeacherNerds and on Instagram @TeacherNerdsPodcast. And thank you for being one of the Teacher Nerds.